Welcome to a world of darkness and mystery. Every culture has its own stories that are passed down from generation to generation, and England is no exception. This country has a wealth of dark legends and paranormal stories that have been passed down for centuries, often as warnings to those not brave enough to face the hidden truth behind the folklore. From stories of King Arthur to garden gnomes, England is known around the world for its cultural heritage, but there's a darker side that's just as intriguing. Here, in this video, we'll explore stories from English folklore that pushed the boundaries of reality. We will meet characters such as Redcap, extremely evil and murderous goblins, or Black Annis, a witch with iron claws. These stories of the paranormal are steeped in mystery and terror, lurking in the dark and unknown. If you're ready to face the dark side of English folklore, then sit back and get ready to immerse yourself in a world of terror and suspense that will leave you breathless. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a like. The first mystery we discover is located in the Yorkshire region of Great Britain. This region is known to be one of the most mysterious and least visited areas of the country. The wide hills are crossed by ancient paths, but you can easily get lost if you don't know the area well. In these wild lands, it is said that there are mysterious creatures such as hobgoblins and wailing spirits, ready to drag the unsuspecting into dangerous places such as cliffs or swamps. One of Yorkshire's most feared spirits is the Gytrash, often sighted at dusk and represented as a black dog, mule or horse with fiery red eyes. The Gytrash prowls the paths in search of lost travelers, which it follows to lead them further from the right path and make them completely lost. At that point, he can either attack the traveler or simply disappear, leaving him alone and disoriented. However, it is said that the Gytrash can also be a benevolent figure, capable of bringing lost people back to civilization. The second mystery is Black Annis, originally called Black Annie, is a legendary figure of a witch first mentioned in a property deed in 1764 referencing a street known as Black Annie's Bower Close. According to legend, the witch lived in a cave called Black Annie's Bower, which had a large tree at the entrance. However, the site of the cave has now disappeared and is believed to have been destroyed during the building boom following the First World War. Black Annis was said to have a blue face and iron claws, and she stalked Leicestershire at night looking for children or animals to eat. With her long, slender arms, she would enter people's windows to kidnap their children, draining them of all their blood and adding their skins to her skirt made of the skins of previously killed children. Now let's move on to the Boggarts, creatures described in both English literature and folklore as evil creatures who cause trouble for the families and homes they settle in. In folklore, Boggarts are described as creatures who like to hide in dark spaces and who often break things, turn food sour, and make the house creak. Unlike poltergeists, Boggarts are not considered ghosts, but mythical creatures such as evil fairies. In English folklore, people were warned not to name their boggart because it might become more powerful and harder to put down. Although the boggart was made famous by the Harry Potter series, it has long existed in English folklore as a feared and annoying creature. Now let's move on to the fourth mystery. The spring-heeled Jack was a legendary creature that scared Victorian Britain, particularly London, starting in the 1830s. He was first mentioned in a Sheffield newspaper in 1810, but became famous after a series of short stories in 1837 and 1838. At least 3 women said they were attacked by a strange figure with red eyes, a tight black dress, long fingers and metal claws. Jack also blew blue flames into the faces of his victims, paralyzing them. Fear quickly spread in Victorian London and people banded together to try and catch the mysterious figure, but no culprit has been identified with certainty. Subsequently, Spring-Heeled Jack became a popular figure in horror stories. Let's move on to the fifth mystery. The Redcaps, extremely evil and murderous goblins, are among the scariest creatures in English folklore. These beings are often described as inhabitants of ruined castles along the Anglo-Scottish border, where they are said to draw strength from the blood of their enemies. The name Redcap comes from their habit of dipping their caps in the blood of their opponents. But the real fear that Redcaps inspire is given by their predisposition to violence, their skullcaps must be constantly wet with fresh blood, otherwise they would die. And so, redcaps are constantly hunting and killing to keep themselves alive. Despite their awkward appearance, redcaps are incredibly fast and deadly, armed with iron pikes and iron boots. They are said to be able to outrun most humans and hunt down elusive creatures such as the arak. But despite their might, the redcaps also have some weaknesses. Under the influence of Christianity, they are said to be afraid of reading the Bible, but the true power of these prayers is uncertain. However, one thing is certain: if you ever come across a redcap, you're going to have to run for your life. And we've come to the last mystery for this video, which is the the Wisp, also known as the torch or jack-o'-lantern, is a faint light that often appears at dusk or before nightfall in the marshes, even if sometimes it occurs elsewhere. This phenomenon features in folklore from many parts of the world, but is especially prevalent in England, where they are known as globes. According to legend, they can be found along isolated paths, trying to lure lost travelers. Depending on how the traveler interacts with the will-o'-the-wisp, they could be led to safety or good fortune, but in most cases it is an evil creature that leads people to their demise. In Celtic myth, the will-o'-the-wisp is a light carried by a fairy or mischievous spirit, who extinguishes it once the traveler is truly lost. In some legends, Will or Jack was an individual who led an evil life and, after death, was doomed to wander the world forever, with only one burning coal to keep warm. He used the coal to make a lantern, which he uses to lead people to their deaths. Others believe they are spirits or paranormal beings with the power to foretell the future, sometimes appearing before a local tragedy occurs. In conclusion, the video about the creepy tales of English folklore introduced us to some of the scariest mythical creatures in English culture. From ghosts and demons to shape-shifting evil creatures, English folklore is filled with creatures that have fascinated and frightened generations of people. These creatures have been passed down for centuries through stories and legends and have continued to arouse curiosity and interest. The video also showed us how many of these stories have been reinterpreted and adapted into modern works of fiction, such as J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter novels. Ultimately, English folklore helped shape the collective imagination and left an indelible mark on British culture.